Hello, Texas 4-H. My name is Molly Keck, and I am with the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service and the Department of Entomology. I am also one of the authors on the 4-H Entomology Guidelines. These videos were developed to help you better understand what you need to know for the Entomology Identification Contest. Remember, for each specimen, you need to know their common name, what order they're found in, what their life cycle is, what type of mouthparts they have, their host or location or where they are found, and their significance. Are they a pest, beneficial, inconsequential, or variable? For more information, study guide materials, and more, please visit the Texas A&M Entomology Department Extension website. Visit entomology.tamu.edu/extension. Scroll down and click on 4-H and Youth Programs. We're now looking into the insect orders that are considered parametabolous. To be parametabolous, you have a gradual metamorphosis, gradually turning from the immature into the adult. There are 3 stages: an egg, a nymph, and an adult. The immature stage is called a nymph. This makes them different than hemimetabolous insects, or those with an incomplete life cycle or metamorphosis, where their immature stage is called a naiad. These immature stages, called nymphs, are terrestrial, meaning they live on land. The first order of parametabolous insects that we're going to be looking at are the Blattodea. These are cockroaches and termites. They are found, depending on the species, either in a house or in wood. Their significance is that they are considered a pest. There are reasons why they might be beneficial, but for the purpose of the contest and for most people, they are considered to be pests. Again, they have that gradual life cycle, or are parametabolous, and they have chewing or mandibulate mouthparts. The American cockroach is the first specimen that everybody needs to know, whether you're a junior, an intermediate, or a senior. These are large cockroaches, probably our largest cockroaches in North America. They're a reddish-brown color, and if you look at their pronotum being this kind of shield-like thing they have over behind their head, there's a lighter rim of light brown around the edge of it. All cockroaches, you can tell that they are cockroaches because they have that pronotum that kind of prevents them from being able to lift their heads up. So it's almost like they have flipped up the collar on their shirts, or they have like a big collar like Dracula, and they're unable to look up straight into the air. They're always kind of looking forward. So if you see an insect with that extended pronotum, you know you're looking at a cockroach. American cockroaches can fly. They live outdoors, but they will come indoors, and so their host is a house or a home. Outdoors, they're found in wood piles, trees that are decaying, especially palm trees underneath the folds of that bark. They might be found in sewer systems, places that are relatively moist, and where there may be some decaying organic matter or trash for them to feed on. The German cockroach needs to be known by intermediate and seniors. Juniors do not need to know this cockroach. This is a much smaller cockroach. It's light brown in color. It's only about 5/8 of an inch. It does have wings, but they don't use them for flight. Their pronotum has 2 long lengthwise lines that are kind of black or a dark brown. These sometimes are considered to be found in colonies, although they're not social insects, meaning they don't have a queen and they don't have workers or soldiers or anything like that. But they can be found in very, very large numbers in homes. Definitely considered a pest. Smoky brown cockroaches need to be known by intermediates and seniors only. I would take special note of how their name is spelled, because if your district contest looks at spelling, you could score higher than somebody who maybe spells it wrong, maybe makes smoky brown 2 words. These are large cockroaches, about the same size as an American. They have solid brown to black coloring. They don't have the reddish margin or the reddish tone to them. They require a whole lot of humidity, and so they're going to be found outdoors in wooded areas or areas with a lot of shade. Inside, they tend to be found in attics or near fireplaces. Their host is going to be the house. They do have chewing mouthparts. They are considered a pest, and they have the gradual or parametabolous life cycle. If you look at these 4 different cockroaches, so the 3 cockroaches you need to know are Americans, Germans, and smoky browns. There is not a smoky brown in this picture. There are 2 extras, but you can see the size difference between a German cockroach, which is the 3rd one, and the American cockroach, which is really large. So Americans have a reddish color to them. They have different colors and patterns, especially on their pronotum. The smoky brown is solid brown, and the German cockroach is very small and has the 2 black lines going long ways on its pronotum. Termites are also in the order Blattodea. These used to be a part of their own order, but they're now known to be closely related to cockroaches, and so they've put them in the same order. These have a thicker waist, so they might be confused for ants, especially in the reproductive or the alate form, which is the right-hand picture. They instead have a thick waist, not a pinched waist. Their antennae are beaded instead of being kinked or elbowed like ants have. These guys have a caste system, so this is very unique. These being parametabolous insects are relatively primitive. These are primitive insects compared to other things. But having a caste system is a very advanced way to live in a colony. So they're kind of interesting in that way. The caste system is made up of workers, soldiers, reproductives, and a queen. The queen is the one that lays all the eggs. The queen is the bottom picture. Her abdomen is distended because it's full of eggs. The top right are the alates or reproductives. They will do what's called a nuptial flight, which means that they will fly up in the air, mate, fall down to the ground, and then they'll drop their wings and lose their wings. In the left-hand picture, the larger termite that you can't see its whole body is a soldier. You notice that its head is larger, it has big, strong mandibles, and the smaller one is a worker. Workers do most of the feeding and the work, excavation for the colony, whereas soldiers protect everybody. These are considered significant structural pests. Most species are, and they can damage wood, feeding on the wood in your home. They actually can't digest the cellulose on their own. They have protozoans inside their gut that do the digesting for them. And you could consider any Blattodea, whether it's termites or cockroaches, to be beneficial because they can be recyclers in the environment. In nature, they have a purpose. They're eating trash. They're breaking down wood, maybe from a fallen tree or rotten tree or a dead plant, something like that. They're getting rid of that trash and making room for new plants. Cockroaches are eating fallen fruit and other trash maybe in our landfills. So outside they have a purpose, but they are considered a pest when they come into contact or move into our structures. The host for the termites is going to be wood. They aren't only found in homes, they can be found in stumps and other cellulose materials. So their host is wood or stumps. One way that I remember that Blattodea are the termites and the cockroaches is that if you have a cockroach in your house or you have a termite in your house, you're not going to be happy. It's bleh. It's not a good thing. So Blattodea are the bleh cockroaches and bleh termites. The next order that you need to know is the Mantodea order. These are the praying mantids. These are generally found outside on vegetation and shrubs where they are sit and wait predators, waiting for their prey to come to them. They are considered beneficial because they are predatory, and they have that gradual or parametabolous life cycle. They have chewing mouthparts, mandibulate mouthparts. They reach out with their raptorial legs to grasp their prey and feed on them with their chewing mouthparts. So the forelegs look to be either preying or stalking their prey. You can see those little spines that are found on the legs. They don't actually do a lot of grasping. Instead, they reach out and those spines will kind of work as Velcro to hold on to their prey. They are not good hunters. Instead, if they're doing any stalking, they move very slowly to stalk their prey, or they sit and wait for their prey to come in front of them. So they don't do a lot of active hunting. They're sit and wait predators. They are predators, so they have to have a bit of a neck and they have to be able to seek out their prey. Their head is unique because it can move in nearly a complete circle, kind of like an owl. And they have an elongated pronotum. So like the cockroaches in the Blattodea order had this pronotum that is a piece right behind the head, but was keeping the head from moving back. The praying mantis, the first part of its thorax is elongated, and you can see it there. The legs are kind of in the middle of that pronotum. They don't lay single eggs. A unique thing about praying mantises, and a term that I would know, is that they lay ootheca. Ootheca are egg cases. And so in this egg case, it are going to be a bunch of eggs, 15 to 30, something like that. Cockroaches also lay an ootheca. So the two parametabolous insects that we've covered so far that lay an ootheca are Blattodea and Mantodea. The final order on this study video that we will cover is the order Dermaptera. Dermaptera only needs to be known by intermediates and seniors. Remember, intermediates are those in middle school, 6th, 7th, or 8th grade. Seniors are those in high school, 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade. Elementary ages, 3rd, 4th, or 5th, you are not responsible to know this insect. Dermaptera are the earwigs. I remember that Dermaptera are earwigs because Dermaptera sounds like dermatologist. A dermatologist is a doctor you go to when you have skin problems, and your ear is covered in skin. They're generally found on the ground under objects in leaf litter or under rocks. The host in this case would be leaf litter. Leaf litter simply describes leaves and vegetation debris that's on the ground that's not attached to a plant. They are considered inconsequential, meaning that they don't really do bad or good. They're just kind of there. And they have a gradual or parametabolous life cycle. They do some chewing. Some are predatory. Others may feed on decaying organic matter, fungal material, dying plants, or things like that. It doesn't look like earwigs have wings, but they actually do. Their forewings, their front wings, are very short and very leathery. Underneath those are hind wings that they can use for flight. They'll unfold them, fly somewhere, usually to lights at night, and then they'll fold those wings, those soft wings, up underneath those really short forewings. Another unique thing about Dermaptera, and a term I would be aware of, is that they have appendages on their hind end, paired appendages called cerci. And their appendages are modified to be pinchers. They'll utilize this to capture prey, to scare off predators. They are relatively harmless. They do have chewing mouth parts, but one thing they will do is emit a very foul, stinky odor to kind of deter predators from messing with them. While they are considered to be inconsequential, they can be an occasional pest in crops. They could be a nuisance in homes if they wander their way inside, especially with that strong odor. But there are quite a few species that are predators. So by and large, they are not pest enough to be considered a pest. They're just inconsequential.